I'm on my way to Petersfield in Hampshire on the south coast of England for the civil marriage application of Katie Green and Colette French. They'll be filing an application to challenge the ban on same-sex marriage. They are the fifth couple to file an application as part of the Equal Love campaign, which is also challenging the ban on heterosexual civil partnerships, and they're the third same-sex couple to do so. We do expect them to get rejected, but this is par for the course, and it will form the legal basis of our challenge. Katie and Colette, can you tell me a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, my name's Colette French, I'm 21 years old and I'm currently working as an administrator.
I'm Katie Green, I'm 21 and I'm a student at the University of Portsmouth studying international relations and politics.
We've been together for nearly 3 years and engaged for nearly 1.
And we met at school, but we didn't actually get together until a few years after we'd left.
And why do you want the civil marriage?
Well, we feel that in a democracy, institutions should be open to all, and the current ban on same-sex civil marriages and opposite-sex civil partnerships is unjust. There is no justification for this, and we particularly would like a civil marriage because we feel that we want to be part of the universal recognition of our love and commitment. We would like to take part in that.
And Katie, why aren't civil partnerships good enough?
Because separate but equal institutions is exactly that. It's segregating on the ground of sexuality, and like Katie said there, we want to be part of an institution that is usually universally recognised, and we feel that by having two separate but equal institutions, that's not the case. We don't want to be part of something that's segregatory. That's not to say that obviously civil partnerships aren't adequate, they are, but we want our love to be universally recognised.
And what's your expectation today?
Well, we obviously know we will be rejected, but it will still be disappointing. But it's just part of what we have to do to try and overturn this unjust ban. And
what do you say to people who say, why are you making a fuss over civil marriage? It's just, there's hardly any difference between a civil marriage and a civil partnership. Why make a brouhaha over it?
Because it's a democracy and you should have the right to all institutions should be open to all. So it's not a case of a hoo-ha, it's a case of, well, we should have the right to choose which institution we want to be part of, and that shouldn't matter about our sexuality.
And how do you feel when you see your heterosexual friends being able to get married and you can't?
Yeah, it's upsetting isn't the right word, but it certainly pulls on your heartstrings a bit. Leaving the door today, we could have come home and we've just gone and got married, and obviously we can't do that today. So disappointed, frustrated, upset probably to a degree. It's not equal, is it? It's not fair really. So.
Petersfield is the latest venue for the Equal Love campaign, our bid to challenge the twin bans on same-sex civil marriage and opposite-sex civil partnerships. This battle for equality is a universal one for gay and straight. We're united in saying there should be no discrimination based on sexual orientation. Our Equal Love campaign is a great historic challenge to the twin bans on same-sex civil marriages and opposite-sex civil partnerships. It's a bit like if the government banned the Asian community from getting married, but told them that they could have civil partnerships instead. Most people would never accept that discrimination. So if discrimination based on race is unacceptable, why should we accept discrimination based on sexual orientation? Both forms of discrimination are wrong, and everyone in our society, regardless of race or sexuality, is entitled to equal treatment. Just come out, what happened?
Well, we were expecting to be rejected, and so we were prepared for that, but we weren't expecting for our dignity to be ignored. We were actually treated quite horrifically.
Yeah, to concur with Katie there, we feel that we weren't taken seriously, that the people we were speaking to at the time didn't believe that we actually had a right to enter civil marriage, or at least attempt to enter it. We felt that we were completely ignored, not even listened to at times, and we just felt it was a complete, for someone giving that kind of service for an institution like that, we felt it was completely unjust, and it does go against everything that they're trying to teach.
Yeah, they couldn't comprehend the argument. We were trying to explain the Equal Love campaign and what it was about and why we were doing what we were doing, but they just didn't get it.
And I believe they offered you a civil partnership instead.
Yes, they did, and yeah.
They did keep offering us a civil partnership, and we kept explaining that it wasn't a civil partnership we were after. We have come here today to give notice of our intention to marry for a civil marriage, and they just kept coming back with, well, we can't offer you that, we can only offer you a civil partnership, and they again just didn't understand the point. Repeated many a time.
And where's your letter of rejection?
We don't have one. The main basis of most of that conversation there with them is that they aren't actually qualified to write us a letter of rejection, because they can't actually take us in the institution, so therefore they aren't
able. They have something to offer us already. They weren't prepared to reject us on the basis of
our sexuality.
I heard them say that they couldn't give you a civil marriage licence because it was against the law. But they weren't prepared to put that in writing.
No, they wouldn't put that in writing for us.
We even asked if they could just sort of take notice of the conversation we had with them, just explaining that we've applied for a civil marriage and yet we're still not able to, because Katie's a female and so am I, and yet they still weren't able to do that. They were saying that they weren't qualified to write us a letter of such calibre, and that we'd have to speak to the superintendent of Hampshire.
But they verbally told you the reasons why you couldn't have a civil marriage.
Yeah.
So why couldn't they put it in writing?
Well,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Again, we just feel that we've been completely segregated, I suppose would be the words.
Do you think they were obstructive? Would you say they were obstructive?
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely, without a doubt.
They weren't interested in arguments. We explained to them the ease that other couples have had in receiving these letters, and they just didn't want to know.
I think they appeared prepared for us, and yet with being prepared, they were somewhat over-prepared, and extenuated that in the sense of too prepared to actually even listen to us, and to then reject us on the grounds of whatever they thought was the case. And I think we got a lot of that, didn't we, today?
So what's your conclusion about Petersfield Registry Office? Not very helpful.
I'm not sure I'm going to want him to be getting married here now.
The battle to overturn the prohibitions on gay civil marriages and heterosexual civil partnerships is in some ways analogous to the long battle to overturn the ban on interracial marriages in apartheid South Africa and the deep south of the United States. Like those battles, we are convinced we will win. History is on our side, morality is on our side, justice is on our side, equal love will prevail.
To find out more about the Equal Love campaign, log on to equallove.org.uk
and follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
equallove.org.uk